Welcome home, neighbors. This is the DeFrancesco family from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, owners at Bay Lake Tower. You're listening to My DVC Points.
Parents and the children could have fun together.
Please board quickly and safely. Our monorail will be departing momentarily.
Welcome to the My DVC Points podcast. Join the conversation as DVC members share their stories, personal preferences, and magical memories. Your reservation is confirmed, your fast passes are booked. Pull up on the yellow strap because our journey into the magic of membership is about to begin.
To infinity and beyond.
Now, here's your host and curator of magical stories, Chad Pennycuff.
Welcome home, neighbors, to episode 256 of the My DVC Points podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at DVCRentalStore.com. If you've got some extra points and you'd like to make another family out there elated happy, the demand is really starting to pick up for our point rentals again. They've got a backlog of listings. You can log in at DVCRentalStore.com, click on the DVC member button, create an ID, and you can see all of the backlogs of listings that are out there. You may be able to pick up a 7-month, an 11-month, something along those lines. What they pay, all listed right there as well. DVCRentalStore.com. Let them know you heard about them here on the My DVC Points podcast, both when you talk to them and select our name in the drop-down box anytime you do business with them. In today's show, we're talking with Tom Albright and his sister, Theresa Vance. So welcome to the show.
Hi,
Thanks, Chad.
I think this is the first time I have done a brother-sister DVC story, so that's kind of a little bit of a unique twist to this. So Tom and Theresa, I'll let you guys just kind of lead us into your DVC backstory here, or your Disney backstory. When did you start coming to World or Land, and how did all this begin?
Yeah, thanks for having us, Chad. My first experience was in June of 2013 is when I first bought into Disney Vacation Club. Our home resort at the time was Animal Kingdom, and I was actually on spring break getting my master's and taking a Disney class for a week and learn more about it. And I thought this was a great way for my family, my sisters, my nephews, who were like 4 and 6 at the time, and my mom. We were approaching her 65th birthday, and hopefully she won't be mad at me for revealing her age at the time, but we just were looking for something to do, and we all lost our dad at an earlier age, and we just remember going to Disney with them, and we just thought this was a great way to stay connected and do something memorable as a family, and we just had a magical time, and here we are 10 years later and still going on trips. And luckily, those that are not from Florida, we're from Michigan, so we have to weather the weather in 7 to 11 months out. And my sister Theresa is always great at planning and helping with the dining and those sort of reservations. And I'm stuck with the booking and the airfare. But we tag team them together and just have a wonderful time traveling.
So
as a
you
family.
do the resort booking and airfare, and Theresa, it sounds like you do the dining, park reservations, and kind of somewhat of a touring plan for the family?
Yeah, that's correct. I have 2 boys of my own. And back in 2011, I took my boys there for the first time. And it was fun, but I did it online. I was a single mom, just hopped on and did the whole package deal for staying at one of the value resorts for the guys and whatnot. And then when Tom, a couple years later, went back and did that class at Disney, he says, "Hey, I run something by you, sis." And so whenever he does that, I have to kind of think, oh man, now what? But he was a definite all in, let's do it. Like he said, my dad passed away early on, and we remember many, many years ago taking a trip to Disney. They surprised us one Christmas, and there was like one Christmas gift left that we needed to open, and we couldn't figure out what it was. And it turned out that we were leaving the very next day to go to Disney. And so it was like a huge, like all out, all 4 parks, and it was nonstop fun. And so I just wanted that for my own boys. I wanted that for my making those memories with our family, and it's been great to, obviously there's so many things to do, and we still have, every year we leave and we still add, I think we add more to our bucket list than what we take off when we go.
Really?
So we definitely have tons of things to always want to do when we go. And our goal is to always find either a new restaurant we haven't been to or something outside of the parks. There's just so many other things to do without actually buying that ticket to go into one of the parks. And that's kind of our challenge for ourselves, to see what we can find to do that we haven't done before.
So it sounds like you guys are doing this multi-generational trip like every year then?
Not necessarily every year. It seems to be every 2 or 3. I was looking at my notes that I've had in our own little planner and in our shared drive and everything like that. So it seems like it's every 2-3 years. And then recently we had to postpone our trip in 2020. It's been a few years since we've been, but we just recently came back from our last Christmas trip, and it seems like our family and reservation party has gotten bigger each and every
Yeah, well,
year.
I mean, I've been saying for years on here, like kids grow up, all of a sudden you need bigger rooms. So if you bought this in 2013 and you had 2 boys then, they're at least teenagers now.
They are. So they're huge of adults themselves. So, and like Tom mentioned, he recently got married a couple years ago. So his wife and kids, and there was a party of 15 this last Christmas, and it was amazing. I mean, we were a little hesitant at first just because several of the members, it was their first Disney experience ever. So that in itself is a whole different beast. But just knowing that, I mean, you can't do it all. I mean, everybody wants to go in and do it all, but you just can't. So we really tried hard to make sure that we kind of get everyone's top 3 list, and that they get those experiences and checked off their list so that they feel like they've accomplished something and no one goes home sad they didn't get to do something they wanted to do.
Okay, so you kind of poll everybody for the top 3, and then you kind of take that back in and kind of tally it up and figure out, okay, this is kind of what we need to get done. And you start to plan the trip from there. Now, I have to ask, if you're planning a trip for 15 people, what were you booking, Tom? Is that like multiple studios, grand villas?
Yeah, it was robbing from our friends and talking to a lot of other DVC members that we've created friendships over the years. And I think that's part of the beauty of it, but a lot of 2 bedrooms and 1 bedroom studios. We were just making it all work. And luckily, one of my cousin who also went on to the trip, she had a friend that they had multiple points, and we were just trying to make it all work points wise. And we did have a split stay in there just because of availability. And a lot of the people in our party are in education. My sister's a teacher, my wife's a teacher, mom's a retired teacher. So a lot of our planning growing up and even now is either at spring break time or Christmas break. And like my sister said, when we got surprised back in 1989, I think it was, we went at Christmas time, and that's just something that's really memorable and something that always sticks in our mind is going at Christmas time and ringing in the new year at Magic Kingdom when we go. So.
Yeah, well, I definitely feel the pain of being married to a Michigan teacher and planning vacations. So know how that goes. And I can tell you as well, Florida is a glorious place to be in December.
It sure is. It sure is.
Why, when we're recording this, not so much.
Right. I think we've had this past year, we had great weather. I think one other time we've really lucked out, especially in coming from weather in Michigan. We've had one year where we had to buy extra sweatshirts and coats just to make it work, but it still was better than being in Michigan with all the snow.
Yeah, I'm telling you there. Okay. So where did you guys stay on your last trip? You mentioned a split stay.
Yeah, so we stayed at Saratoga Springs and really liked that resort. And then the last 3 days we stayed at the Contemporary, and we had a 3-bedroom villa where we got all the family together, and Bay Lake Tower, and we rang in the new year at the Top of the World Lounge and just had a great time together. As I think we had 11 people in our room.
Oh my gosh. Is anybody a Bay Lake owner to be able to book that grand villa at New Year's?
One of our friends was.
Okay, so that's how you got that room there. Because I was like, that is the primo room to have on New Year's Eve, because you get those awesome fireworks, and a grand villa there would just be an absolutely bucket list amazing. Not gonna lie.
Yes. And as I mentioned before, I mean, this was we keep saying it's a trip of a lifetime or a bucket list. And I mean, my mom was turning 75 in just about a month ago. So we've celebrated her 65th birthday that was our first trip, and our 70th trip, we went to Alani. And then just recently, my wife and children, it was their first time to Disney, my mother-in-law's first time to Disney, and We also took my aunt and our cousin. So it was just a great family fun trip.
Now, you mentioned Alani. Did you take the whole pack out to Hawaii too?
Yeah, I have 2 sisters and then my mom and my nephew. So there were 6 in that group. And yeah, we had a 2-bedroom stay at Alani for a week, 7, 8 days, something like that. So
Okay, wow, that is like a whole new level of planning, because for those of you who don't know, there's not that many direct flights from Honolulu to Detroit. I think Delta operates 1 or 2, but usually you're switching planes in LA, Seattle, some along those lines as well. So that's a whole nother level of nightmare, because that's a 10-hour flight easily.
yeah, our layover was in Seattle, Detroit to Seattle, then to Honolulu.
Yeah, okay. Now, did you guys island hop while you were there, or just stay all at Alani?
We just stayed right at Oahu. We rented a car, and we had a resort day, and then we had an excursion day and a resort day and excursion day, kind of planned it out that way. Of course, that was on my itinerary. My planning was to get everybody what we wanted to do, what we wanted to see. No offense to my mom or sister. I love them both dearly, but Tom and I operate on the same wavelength, and they're on there, well, whatever. We don't care. It doesn't matter. So while that's all well and good, sometimes a little bit of direction would be nice. So we started searching and Googling, and
did you do a poll for like people's top 3 things to do while they're in Oahu as well?
Yeah, actually we did. And of course, at the time, my boys were, I don't remember. Was it 2017, Tom? I think.
Yes.
So they would have been
2018.
So they would have been about 9 and 11, so that preteen age, but they wanted to learn to surf. But they were also starting to get interested in history. So we did the whole Pearl Harbor outing for a day and got in the car and drove to North Shore and just did some of the touristy things, but also just to have the time at the resort was magical in itself. And just, I don't know, it was very dreamy. One of my other things too, when we come back from all of our trips, is to make photo books. That's just kind of what we do when I get back with all of our pictures. So I make the photo books, and I mean, we've got quite the stack on the shelf now to just go back and reminisce and just love it. Love reliving all of that, looking through the pictures. But I don't know, there's just something about it. I think given the fact that we started so little or so young with my own boys, it's just something that I look forward to doing and making those memories and those trips. And they don't get a lot of Christmas presents under the tree, but obviously you can see the memories that we're making in all these trips and all of I'll remember when, and reminds me of this, or those kinds of things. You just can't put a price tag on any of that.
You sound like you're 100% on my wavelength as well. I looked at my kids' bedrooms and went, y'all got enough plastic crap. And I guess I slightly contributed to it with the popcorn buckets. Those who watch our live streams always see them behind me in the streams. And I'm usually picking them up for a listener that's a Patreon member and holding them till they get here, or shipping them to them. Or my son and daughter twist my arm into, Dad, run over there and grab us one, or something along those lines. But other than popcorn buckets, I'm with you. That's it. I'd rather spend time with them. I'd rather do trips and experiences and time in the theme parks, time in whatever it is that they're into. I want to spend quality time with them on that. And I can see how that's how you're using your membership as well, whether it's a big trip to Walt Disney World, a big blowout trip to Alani. Have you guys looked at like any of the other international parks? I guess let me just ask it this way. What's on your guys' DVC bucket list?
I think I want to hit all the different resorts and properties just because the amenities are so unique and everything about Disney. What really drew me from my class trip to where I am now is they do it right. Customer service is top notch. That's why they have the classes. Safe, it's memorable. There's a lot of different variety. Things are new, but every resort has its own unique feature. And I haven't really looked into going to different outside of the U.S., different of the properties, but I'd like to go to Disneyland and stay at Grand Californian. Would be probably my next dream bucket list.
Grand Cal is pretty nice. I'm looking forward to Villas at Disneyland Hotel opening. I ain't gonna lie. Just to have a plan B there as well when we can't get into the Grand Cal.
Sure.
As well. Yeah, Disneyland is also an amazing deal. So now, what resorts have you guys stayed in so far?
As I mentioned, we were first owners at Animal Kingdom, and then we also own at Alani. And then we've stayed at Saratoga, Bay Lake, Old Key West. Not too many, just because of our size of our party and 7 to 11 months out. And then we stayed at Alani.
Oh, yeah, so you've got to do some point stretching as well to pull that off. that amount of
Right.
people.
Yeah, we're banking and borrowing, and we're being creative.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Typically going at Christmas time, we're kind of locked into those times.
Yeah, especially locked in at Christmas. It's going to be a point drain as well. And so now, Tom, I heard you bought into Animal Kingdom and then Alani. Any more add-on-itis hits?
All the time. I'm looking, I'm just don't know what's next. And as my sister mentioned, it's great to see my nephews be engaged in the planning and sharing their memories. And I don't have any children of my own, but hopefully someday that they can plan a trip for Uncle Tom. But we haven't really decided where the next property is. I mean, there's just so many. We're trying to find the right property, but right now it's just after getting married a couple years ago now, and then this big trip. Now we can maybe start thinking of what is the next add-on points that for everybody to make it all work again. But there's just a lot of memories, and I don't know what the right property is yet, is where I'm at.
Now, Theresa, what's your crystal ball here say for what the boys are thinking at this point in time? Is this something that's woven into their DNA? Do you see them wanting to do this going forward?
I do. They've even said on top of all of this, we've had the opportunity to go on one of the Disney cruises. Mm-hmm. So one of my conversations I've had, my oldest will be a junior in high school. So he's got a couple of years left, but just knowing that he's interested and excited and wanting to go travel with us, with me, with his mom, with our family, that means a lot. And he would say, hey, what are we going to do next year? And we're talking about those things. And he understands that there's a lot of planning that goes into it. We can't just decide, oh, we're going to go this Christmas. Here it is already July. I mean, we probably could pull off something if we had points available, but they know that it takes a while. So trying not to get all sentimental and all of that with him only having 2 Christmases left at home and 2 spring breaks left and those kinds of things. I do foresee that that's something that we would continue to do. And because they've grown up watching Tom and my sister and I take my mom on these trips. And we've all gone together. It's just always something we've done. So I foresee that being something they're very interested in doing.
I completely feel your pain there. Reagan was 12 when we bought in. And so this is our last year with her at home before she's off to college. And so we said summer of 2024, she could pick what we do, but then she's not really coming to the table with anything. And we're going, clock's ticking, girl. If you're going to come up with something, you need to let us know because we're the 11-month mark right now. So it's time to plan and get on this so that we can make something magical happen. And it's just, yeah. So without getting clear guidance from her, we kind of picked, we're going to redo our COVID Disneyland Alani trip, hopefully use some points and miles from that Families Fly Free program I've been dealing with to make it over to Japan. Because we started saying Disneyland Paris, and then we realized the Olympics were there in 2024. And we're like, nah, we're not touching that. But I completely feel your anticipation of the countdown of how many years you have left with the kids. And she just started working her first job now. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're not going to come spend time with us because you're going to work at a deli. Yeah, I get it. Go dad with your first job. I'm trying to be happy about this, but I can't quite. It's part of the joys of parenting. And hey, at least she is being a productive member of society. But it just kind of stinks when they don't get to go on vacation with you guys. So I completely feel that as well. Now, I have a really fun question that I ask, and it sounds like for you guys, normally I ask the question, if Tinkerbell were to put 2,000 one-time use only pixie dusted points into your account, how would you use them? But I'm just running through the math of Christmas time and the points you're using, and Tink's got to up her game for this crowd. So if Tink were to put 8,000 one-time use points into your guys' account, Tom, that you could book anything in the DVC system, what would you end up doing for your guys' family and multi-generational clan here with Tink's pixie dusted points? Tink can get you anything in the DVC system at any time.
I would have to say 3-bedroom ocean view at Alani for part of the trip. And then on our return trip back, staying at the Grand Californian 3-bedroom. And if we have anything left over, we'll fly to Walt Disney World and stay at Polynesian bungalows for a night or two just to make
blow out Tink's
cap
points,
it all off.
Right?
Just to blow them out.
Yeah, yep. Theresa, any thoughts on this? What would you do?
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you should ask because we've had this conversation actually. Like, what would be our next, if points were an option right now, what would we want to do next? And Disneyland has come up several times in our conversation about that because we actually, the first trip out, we had tossed that around whether or not we stopped in California and we went for a day or not. But we figured we were amateurs to all of that whole thing with going that far out and to the flights. And like you said, that's 2 full days of traveling, just flights. So we're like, well, maybe not this time. We're like, yeah, let's do it next time. So there still is that next time out there, hopefully. So sounds like Tinkerbell's going to be able to pull through and make that happen for us.
And
No.
I'm just going to go on record as saying is like Team Villas at Disneyland Hotel here. It looks like our 3 bedrooms are going to just trounce whatever the Grand Cal had. Because we have like a fire pit outside and an outdoor seating area, and it's still 2 levels. So they have a pool table. I'm not going to deny that. But I think outdoor fire pit in LA, beautiful, gorgeous weather that's awesome year round could hang with that, right?
For sure. For sure.
Take that chance and find out.
Yeah. You know what I think, Tom? I think if Tink's giving you that amount of points, you should do a split stay there and just report back to us.
We can do that. We can make that
because we definitely need to have the Grand Villa Showdown from those 2 resorts as well. And I just don't know anybody who can pull it off. And I think if I were to bank and borrow, I might get 2, maybe 3 nights off peak in a Grand Villa there for like 3 years of my points. That's kind of what we planned it as. So it is on my bucket list. It will happen sooner or later. But yeah, fun times there. Fun times there. Now, do you guys have any advice you would give people planning big family multi-generational trips? Because this is like a whole new monster and a whole new way of doing DVC.
I'll go first, I guess. I would say just enjoy it, embrace it. Just know that you can't do everything. And I think that's our family's motto is we're going to enjoy everything about it while we're there, knowing that it's going to change or we're going to miss something. But we just have a great time. And whether it's in the parks or away from the parks or downtown, well, Disney Springs now, the new restaurants from bowling, theaters, putt-putting. There's just so many different amenities that we can't even do because our stay are 7 to 11 months out in advance and we have to travel. We could drive, but
that'd be 2 days each way.
That drive just sucks the fun out of the whole trip. So we don't do it. But I think kind of going back to picking a couple things, different amenities, some highlights of what you want to accomplish. Some of our big things on this trip was my sisters and I, we remember going to Hoop-de-Doo Review, our very first trip 25, 30 years ago. And now I got to
Dallas.
Yeah, dinner with Dallas.
Where we sat up in the balcony.
And that was a memorable time because we got to take my aunt, my mother-in-law, my stepchildren, my wife. We just relived the memories and cherished just the time together. So,
Tom, it sounds like what your advice is no, you can't do everything. Nobody is going to be 100% happy with they've got to check off everything on their list, but focus on the quality time together and know that you're coming back and you'll get it sooner or later.
100%.
Yeah, and I think I'd like to add to that. Like I said, when we started talking about the most we'd ever gone in a group before was maybe like 7 of us. And so we basically doubled that in size this last winter. So we talked about this and we aged all the range from age 2 to 75. So there was a lot of spans in between and 5 of them were at Disney for the first time. So there's just a lot of things that just as much fun for us being there and taking new people and sharing that experience with them and seeing the magic for them for the first time. But I would think that one of the things that like, for example, my boys and I wanted to go, my boys wanted to go to Epcot one more time because the last time we had gone, we didn't get to stay as long as we wanted. Plus, they were that much older. So they were really interested in that. So it was just fun for me to have the day with just my 2 boys, and we went to Epcot. But we also planned that same day that Tom and his family and all the little girls went to Magic Kingdom for the day because that's what their interest was. So even though we weren't going to the same park, we all had that set in our schedule as our park day. So we divide and conquer. And then we came back and the next day we'd spent around the pool, kind of hanging out, catching up with each other, how was their day the day before and whatnot. So it was just kind of nice to be able to, there were times when we, like he said, we went to Hoop-de-Doo together. So the whole group went to the same outing together, but then there were other times when we split off. So we don't want to give you the false hope that we spent 5 full days of all of us together. That's not what we did, but like you said, we made it work because we knew we were trying to do what everyone wanted and making sure everyone felt a part of the planning, had say in what we were doing.
Yeah, I think my pro tip there in what we did in our family, and it sounds like you're going down the same path, is we had set times when this is when everybody all comes together. And it was usually a big meal. For us, it was Spirit of Aloha show and Hoop-de-Doo. And I think another big meal in there, if that dates it from the last time I've done one of these. But it's a really great idea to have, like, you've got dedicated, I guess, nuclear family time versus multi-generational family time. And you're kind of planning and giving everybody some time away from each other as well, because that kind of works as well. I can only tell you, I can only get along with some of my family members or extended family members for X amount of time. But I know, hey, I've got X of switching and this is the plan. And it seemed to work a lot better for us.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. This is my last question that we're going to throw at you guys tonight. Do you guys have any like hidden gems or things that are off the beaten path or things that don't get really talked about that really just plus up a Disney vacation?
I just really enjoy, especially since we've gone at Christmas time all the time. It seems like we go to at Christmas. I just enjoy going from resort to resort and just walking around and looking at everything. And like Tom said, mentioned earlier, all the different resorts have their own little theme or their own ambiance. And it's pretty amazing if you stop to think about like all of the work and the prep that it goes into turning one of those resorts into what they do at Christmas time. It's amazing.
Yeah, Christmas time is very special because you get to go around and see all the unique decorations and how each resort has done it and kind of compare it to last year if you've been multiple times. Sometimes they change their things. Sometimes there's some traditions that they go for. Like I know Animal Kingdom, Jambo, and Copper Creek, where Wilderness Lodge has some huge killer trees that are always there. And those are always fun to come back and see as well. So Tom, do you have any advice for a new member who could be listening in on the show about DVC? Any tips or tricks or things that have worked well for your family?
I think in planning, you just have to be flexible and just embrace the memories that you're about to cherish for many years to come. And yeah, you can look at all the spreadsheets and all the math and everything like that, but it comes down to quality time, the luxury of the amenities, and the way that Disney does it. There's no other company that does it as well as Disney. And just the different rooms, the hidden Mickeys to the memories will perform are priceless. And the values of the points just keep going up. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah. So your advice would be enough of the analysis paralysis here. This is Disney we're talking about. This is some of their top level product that they create. When you look at the quality that it creates with your family, you can't quite put a price on it. So just get off the fence and jump in is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And anytime you think I have enough points, I don't know what the right number is, but looking back, I wish I would add more, but it's one of those things that it's got to fit the budget and know that it comes with a price tag, but the memories will last a lifetime.
Yeah. Theresa, any other final thoughts or last words of advice for a new member listening in?
Well, we've made our list. Like I said, we have our photo books of all the trips that we've taken. And it really still, I have to pinch myself because I really never would have imagined way back, like Tom said, in 1989 when our parents surprised us for that Christmas gift to Disney, but that we'd be doing this all these years to come. And the fact that Tom has been more than generous, allowing us to tag along and make all these memories together. It's been amazing. I mean, Hawaii, I just can't, top of the world. We went to, with the 4th of July just passing, it was like, we kind of sound a little prudish and we kind of make jokes with each other a little bit, but like when you've spent time watching the fireworks from the top of the world at New Year's, it's kind of uneventful sitting out here in our little village of Lexington, Michigan, watching 4th of July fireworks. But it is what it is, and we get a good laugh out of it. But
we're recording this on July 5th as well, so just so the listeners have an idea here, and it's like 4th of July fireworks any place else is just like, once you've seen Disney's New Year's Eve, 4th of July shows, it's like every place else is just kind of meh. Like, so I get that as well. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us on today's show.
Well, it's nice meeting you, Chad, and I appreciate being able to hop on and share some of our experiences.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. And thanks for all you do with your podcast and your team of people and all the sponsors that make this happen. It's great to listen. I can't wait to hear this episode, but I'm going to be jumping on, have a little drive tomorrow, and I already have a couple downloaded it's just great to hear people's memories and experiences. And it's almost like it's our extended family that we haven't even met yet. I've met many people that have been DVC members for many years, original members. It's great to hear their stories and reasons why they got involved and bought. And it's like they're our people. And it's really fun to create new relationships, all because of Disney.
Yeah, I think that's something that we really tap into at the My DVC Points show is, yes, we get nerdy and analytical, and yes, we teach the product, but we also get to touch the human side of things and share people's stories and build connections and build community. And in our team meeting we had just last week, I was like, look, guys, the sponsors are great. We love them. We're so thankful that they help come in and pay our bills and make this show happen. But at the end of the day, we're all about community. And that's kind of our number one value. And that's what they pay to get access to, is they want their message in front of our community of, hey, if you've got to rent or you're looking to buy or sell or finance a DVC product, World of DVC has kind of sponsored us so that we can get that message out to them. And it's really just kind of a great partnership as well. So I'm going to end this with a huge shout out of thanks to DVC Rental Store, DVC Resale Market, and Monera Financial for their continued support. And also a huge shout out of thanks to our Patreon members and all of the members of our community. I think I looked down today and we're like 4,700 people in one of our Facebook groups and over $3,000 in the Riviera group. And we're coming up on $2,000 in Disneyland Tower. It's just an incredible sense of community that we build here with members. And to me, that's the most rewarding part, because seeing people's lives change from this product and people get to come back in and make these great family memories, and knowing that we get to play a small part in that is really just kind of the motivating factor in our show. So hopefully you guys have learned something in today's episode or sparked something from Tom and Theresa's story here that'll help you go out there and plan something magical for your family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please watch your head and step as you exit, and take small children by the hand.
Aw, chill up, Dad. You know I'll come back. With DVC.
My DVC Points is an unofficial Disney-inspired podcast created by fans of Disney Vacation Club. The thoughts expressed in this podcast are personal opinions and personal experiences. My DVC Points is not affiliated with Disney Vacation Club, the Walt Disney Companies, or any subsidiaries. We encourage listeners to contact their DVC guide or member services for official DVC policies.